All the worldly people come here, but they pretend to be spiritual, and that's very dangerous.
This integration of entrepreneurship, social impact, along with meditation, spirituality, how do you bring it all together?
You can save the planet at the same time you can make tons of money.
On a day when everything's going wrong, whether they're trying to manage the markets, whether they're running big businesses, um, and dealing with that level of stress, how do how do they balance that with spirituality?
Greater the darkness, even little ray of light will brighten it up even more.
How difficult is it to really build, your or cultivate intuition?
It only needs just like a little lamp in front of the sun. It's nothing, absolutely. So it's very simple, I think. It's very simple.
Daji, it's wonderful to be here in Kanha, your home, and see the expanse, the kind of work you're creating. And it really just brings it all together for me when I'm visiting because we know you for so many different things. We know about the concept of heartfulness, experience the meditation, and we'll talk more about that. But here it goes way beyond that. We're looking at maintaining a legacy, we're looking at creating for generations, having a much larger social impact, and the environment, the sheer magnitude of it really brings home the kind of impact you've already achieved globally. So share with us how you manage this, and I'll go back to the start of your journey later. But first, this integration of entrepreneurship, social impact, along with meditation, spirituality, how do you bring it all together?
Well, to put it very briefly, I think it's the meditative mind that keeps on guiding. It keeps on telling to the heart, let's do this, let's do that. And once the heart gives the signal, nothing can stop it. When the refined mind tells you do this and heart okays it, and the marriage of refined mind and the heart, I think these are very powerful tools. And with that, whatsoever comes to your heart, you are able to fulfill those commands with courage. You will never develop a doubt. Somehow you are able to share this with your colleagues, and your colleagues are the ones who will keep on supporting you because they also will feel in their heart and in their mind that yes, this is the right thing to do. Can one achieve all this alone? No. You need people with hearts that resonates with you, and without that, I don't think anything is possible.
And you've clearly drawn those people to yourself and to your mission. We've met some wonderful people already. What was the journey like? I mean, how did you build this? I mean, today you're attracting thousands of people from around the world. I mean, the largest meditation hall that we've seen in the country. How did you build this, to this scale? I mean, you're going to tell me it was all very easy and, you were just guided. But in the beginning, was it that easy?
Yes, but I never, I never worry about it. I never thought of it also that it will come like that. We have sinned one day at a time, and whatever we do on that day, we do the best. Then the next step opens up on its own. See, many architects came, gave us the design, but nothing worked out. What came out later was from the during meditation, ideas come, let's do this. And then you sit with some of these guys who are junior architects and say, let's draw this, and that's how we went ahead with it.
So, in terms of what you wanted to achieve or the purpose that you were led with, would you say the first was heartfulness, meditation, bringing people together, um, and then, of course, also, in terms of the environment, the conservation, building a sustainable ecosystem, or did they kind of come in side by side?
They're complementary. Ecosystem cannot thrive, and the spirituality cannot thrive without the ecosystem. They have to go together. I give you an example. When my great Adi Guruji, he used to say very confidently that the atmosphere that prevail in Kakpusandi's ashram,
Hmm.
it's mythological figure in Ramayana. I'll share with you a story. When war with Ravan was over, the eagle, he became very proud that I saved Ram's brother, and without me, they couldn't have won the war. See? So then he started worrying that how can I become so arrogant and proud that I saved the Lord himself, Lakshman, and his brother as well. So he was expressing his pain, agony that, Lord, how can I do that? Deep down, I know you are the Lord. Yet I feel that without me, you couldn't have won the war. So please give me a solution how to get out of these arrogant feelings. So Lord says, you go to Lord Shiva. So he goes to Kailash and falls at the feet of Lord Shiva. And Shiva says, I'm sorry, I cannot help you. You have to go to Kagpushande's ashram and get this knowledge. And by being there, you will be able to in a position to dissolve your pride, dissolve your arrogance, dissolve your ego. And Kakbusandi is the lowest of the low, bird, crow. And he was the, I would say, guru of that ashram. Telling the eagle that you fall at the feet of a crow is impossible. But the atmosphere there was such, which my Adi Guruji describes, that whosoever entered that ashram felt liberated, felt immense peace. You know, the three things Raja Janak asks Astavakra, that how can I get liberation, how can I get detachment, hmm, and how can I have Vairagya, things like that. I think all these three things can be fulfilled in that environment. So when he was visiting a place in Marwa district of current Madhya Pradesh in 1927, he found that the place, that atmosphere was reminding him of that ashram, Kakpushan, and he wanted to build one like that. So I went there, seeing the description of the location and the name of the place, but all the forest that they had was totally zeroed out. Not a single tree was left except one banyan tree. And the description of people, of course, it is still good. Tribal people, simple. It's a simplicity of people. They reminded me, yes, there is hope. Afterward, I thought, okay, let's build something to fulfill his dream. Because according to him, human being, when you transmit spiritual charge, divine charge, they can have for some time because they tend to lose it. They cannot build upon charge like investment, you see. You can build investment on investment. Imagine if you maintain that capital at the rate of inflation, would you maintain? Would you grow? You cannot grow. So it has to keep on stepping up at every level. You cannot even maintain it. Human beings cannot even maintain the divine charge for more than 5 minutes. And he said, trees and plants, they're able to maintain divine charge for thousands of years, as long as you don't chop them.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
So, with that in mind, we thought, why not create such a holy forest? And we are trying to do that, trying to create in multiple locations across the globe, starting with India. We are developing huge forests rather in Taranga Hills, then in Siahat, then on the way to this in Madhya Pradesh, on the way to Satna from Jabalpur, the 260-kilometer mountain range.
Wow. So as you just go back to, the origins of your journey, and I love your story because, how you tell it. And when you were first, when you were 19, and then how you went back to it and found your calling. But you've still managed to have, not managed to have, you've chosen to have, a full life in every way. I was speaking to, some of the residents here as well to understand better, and they were talking to me about how it's, this is not really about giving up anything. It's more about incorporating a way of life. And you've always spoken about, leading with your heart and listening to your heart. How did you, however, begin that journey into heartfulness? Did you have a guide? Did you, practice for many years? What was your story like in the beginning?
Well, I think if I, childhood was full of such moments.
Okay.
Uh, as far as I remember, I mean, as I was told by my mother, I don't recollect any of that pulling my father's dhoti. She says I used to pull, but it's not in my memory because we forget all that we did when we were 3 and 4. So she would say you would pull his dhoti so hard, before he goes to temple. If he doesn't take you, he'll be in trouble. So it
It was in you very early on.
very early on. So that something was driving me to go to temples again and again, again and again. And around 10 or 11 years of age, I stumbled upon books by Ramakrishna Paramahansa. I mean, he didn't write it; it's a gospel on him in our local library in my village, and that changed the entire course of my spiritual journey. That changed everything, rather. And you would wish that you had such a guru in your life. And I would regret that how come I'm born in such a wrong times. And this hunger, that passion kept on burning inside brighter and brighter. And one day I decided when I was about 18 some to leave home and become like Vivekananda.
I'm curious, what did the book say? I know you probably can't fully encapsulate it, but what was the essence of what called out to you?
Well, his level of purity, he would cry for Mother Kali and she would present herself. It's like she would appear to him faster than your friend's video call.
Wow.
Instant, no time lapse. That was the purity of his heart, and he would always be guided by her, what to do, what not to do, etc. And when people like Swami Vivekananda and his associates, his friends would come asking all the difficult questions, which today's youth also is asking. Such questions are always asked. Thus times change, but the questions are same. Is there God? Can you show me God? Things are like that. So same question Vivekananda asked to Ramakrishna Paramahansa very arrogantly. And Ramakrishna said, I see the way I see you. That level of confidence was there in him. And when Vivekananda says, show me. So I think one day, out of frustration, he said, lie down. In particular direction, he made him to lie down and then touched his chest with the left leg and transmitted some power in his heart. That put him in trance. That is the power of pranahuti. And he was in state of samadhi for a very long time. And when he came out of it, he was bewildered and said, where am I? Why did you take that away, that state of consciousness? You should have left me in there. Ramakrishna said, it is just a jalak, trailer. It will come back to you at the end of your life. But till then, you have to keep on working for me.
Tell us about consciousness and the heartfulness philosophy, because um, today it's being explored around the world in other facets also. For instance, access consciousness and other ways that people are finding to kind of try to understand it better, or improve uh, their being, or the way they deal with challenges through it. Um, Tell us the essential principles of heartfulness that we apply. I did a practice meditation, and there were 3 phases that we went through, which were very beautiful. But we'd love to hear it from you.
In heartfulness way, meditation simply means to transcend your mind. What it means to transcend the mind means to transcend the function of the very mind. What is the function of the mind? Is to think. When we transcend thinking, where do we enter? Okay, I have transcended a state of thinking, my logical mind, my corporal brain, cortex brain, as they say. Function is to think. Now, when I transcend thinking, I enter the zone where I feel feelings. I experience feelings. Instead of thinking of God, what if you feel God? That is spirituality, that is meditation. You see? And then as we move further, that is not the end of the journey. Experiencing the divinity is not enough. Just as experiencing some richness of some wealthy host, hospitality of a wealthy host. You can stay there for a month, 3 months, a year, but deep down in your heart, though I am experiencing richness, hospitality of a very good friend, I can experience divinity in the presence of a guru. It's all good, but not good enough. I must become divine. Just as you're experiencing richness, you wish you were rich. Like that, if I can, instead of experiencing divinity, if I become divine myself, that's a quantum leap in spiritual journey. See,
Have you already done that?
we go much beyond, and it's not only me. And if you hang on to this practice for some time, you will transcend thinking, you will transcend feelings, you will transcend becoming divine. And where you enter will be absolutely blissful zone where there are no contradictions. But even this bliss becomes too heavy for you. People, they get intoxicated with states like Satchit Anand. That's also a nasha.
And what is the counter cure to that?
Transcend it. Say goodbye to it. And that is the true renunciation. People can renunciate all kinds of stupid things. Desires, for example, a very small thing to get rid of. But to quit what is extremely pleasant at a spiritual level, it's not ordinary job. And that's why most yogic shastras do not mention anything about Sahasra Dalkamal journey. Because once you are there, this Satchitanand state prevails. No one mentions beyond it. But they are stuck there. And that is incomplete journey. It's a totally incomplete journey. You have put a stop. And that is worse than starting any journey. Getting lost at dead end and you don't know where to go beyond this. You should feel sorry for such saints.
No, of course, yeah.
Because they are in falsity. Oh, I'm enjoying this and I've attained it.
Okay. So if we come back a moment, and if someone is looking to really take their first step into it, or the first few steps, and get into the practice, do you feel that people struggle with it, given that modern times has so much distraction, so much materialism, or are people looking increasingly more for that solace and finding it?
You see, Greater the darkness, even little ray of light will brighten it up even more. Right? So, more stressful a life, and even the slightest of relaxation will give them so much of solace and rest. So, people who are really, really moved away from the core of their being, where there is only restlessness, anxiety, stress, depression, sleeplessness, and moment they make a U-turn towards the center of their being, just by sitting quietly for a few minutes, I think it can bring about tremendous change and tremendous outlook to their lives. Even 2 minutes they spend, they will be able to experience the greatness of going within. And today's youth, I think they just, you have to tell them, try this out, my friend, and see what happens. They're willing to try. They're quite open-minded. But you say do this puja and you do this recitation of mantras, they might rebel.
Right.
But you ask them to exercise the mind, they will be able to do it. And meditation to me is nothing but a mental gym.
Sure. I mean, yeah, true. So today, you touched upon the topic of earning a little earlier, and of course, everyone's also driven by trying to have a certain lifestyle, trying to ensure they're building capital or generating wealth. Um, it I mean, I'm sure it's nothing new. Perhaps the problems have only become bigger as as capitalism has had more room to play. But how does one who's in the midst of all of that, whether they're trying to manage the markets, whether they're running big businesses, um, and dealing with that level of stress, how do how do they balance that with spirituality? Of course, spirituality can help find some calm, but on a day when everything's going wrong, how do you really find peace when you feel like your empire is collapsing?
My experience so far says even the wrong things turn to your advantage if you practice spirituality. Yeah, it turns out to your benefit. I've always seen that. um, Temporarily, you might say, "Okay, oh, I was running this business, and this branch of the business was a losing battle." It happens for good. It's quicker ended. Now I can pay attention to something better. And this realization comes ahead of time, actually. In any business or in any relationship also, that three levels of happenings. Something that happens after the process, something that happens during the process, and something that you intuit before. Right? Most people today, they don't even understand after the process also. They only see money, but what have they gained and lost at a moral level? They don't understand that. In relationship also, have I lost her? Have I gained her? But the hope keeps on saying that you have not lost her, and that is foolishness. You have lost her, understand that she's lost. During the process, for example, when I'm chatting with you and we have disagreement and you get upset on me for some reason and the talk ends, right? So what happens to our intelligence during the conversation? Our intuition fails during conversation. That's why there is discord. Before, let us say, I'm coming home and during some phone conversation with spouse, uh, you lost your temper. And by the time you reach home, you are about to show her off that, look, what you said was wrong and I'm going to fight it out today with a lot of anger. So there are three scenarios which you see before, which you see during, and which you see after. Wiser people see it before it happens. That what if I open my mouth and shout? Better keep quiet. Or during the conversation, if I understand it's not going in a right direction, change the topic. After by some chance you made a mistake and said whatever, be ready to apologize so that you can reverse the impact to some extent. Right? So, meditation, spirituality teaches us, even in business, should I have invested in this? I have now invested in this, and I'm too late to pull out of this. You meditate and you'll find 1,001 solutions emerging out of it. And you'll see now already I'm so deep into it. How can I salvage it and make it even better? In your silent heart, silent mind, you'll be able to pull through the situation that was so horrible. Now you'll be able to say, oh, this came as a blessing. My mistake has now turned out into some sort of a gain. There's always an opportunity to streamline the situation, make it even better. With a meditative mind, there is never a dead end.
That's always a solution.
There is something always take you up. If there is dead end also, then there will be someone pulling you from the dead end and take you to the next level.
What about uncertainty when, but when you have no option but to wait for things to play out, uh, or there's this period of not knowing. Um, how do you build that resilience to just sort of sit through it with sort of patience, calm? Again, I'm talking more from a market perspective, when there's so many various global dynamics. So, let's say you're meditating or you're able to kind of bring yourself to a state where you're going to watch it play out. But if you can't help the way it plays out, then what happens?
Well, in uncertain times, that's the best time to make money because during those uncertain times, not many people are playing games. If you pull out, I mean, the risk is always there of not making money versus, losing money. Let me explain to you. During this crash, and I think it was in late 80s, there was a big crash, and later on towards late 90s also there was a crash. And again, I think it's a decade after decade after decade, there is some sort of turbulence in the market. People who stayed on, they made it. If you pull out of it, I think you are in trouble. And over the years, we have learned one thing, that there are certain sectors where there's no danger. Where there is no, so you can fully, confidently, with certainty, go ahead with it. The My father especially used to tell me, invest in land, invest in land. So I took up my father's advice, you see, invest in land, and you have never gone wrong with land investment. If nothing else, it will keep on giving you agricultural income, which is tax free. Sure. Right? And today's, I think, world, when we masterfully play out certain things for a carbon negative atmosphere, investing in agro is the number one thing, even if you don't make, but I'm sure that never happens in agriculture sector. You will always make something. Even if you don't do anything for 10 years and you don't cultivate your land, it will still generate income. I give you one small example, 2 lakhs per acre when we bought this land, right? Can you imagine the price today in this area? 3 to 4 crores per acre in less than 8 years.
That's phenomenal.
Phenomenal, right? Not every place inflates like this, but I have not found even one location where you invest and your money declines with land investment. And I'm sure when we identify certain sectors, energy sectors, right? The volatiles are the pharmas. The pharma industry keeps on changing again and again because let's say ibuprofen, somebody is manufacturing this, ruling for years. Somebody else manufactures something else, it's gone, right? So it's quite timing is very important as far as pharma and research products are concerned. What is new? What like technology? Again, you have to be at the wavelength of technology. If I keep on investing in old chips versus newest, latest Intel chips, that will be a different ballgame. So I had to be aware of what technology is offering today. Energy sector. I've been telling my sons, invest in energy sector, agro energy.
And ESG is a theme that's playing out in the market. Yeah.
And they would listen if Reliance says they're building 100 and 500, suppose, uh, what they call bio units, bio CNG units, they'll go for it. Based on today's requirements, there is never, I don't think we have enough energies being produced which is carbon negative. Biofuels is perhaps the best way of approaching so that you can save the planet. At the same time, you can make tons of money. So we have to become eco-friendly in investments as well. Say,
No, I absolutely agree with you. There is a question about the kind of investments. I mean, the capital is available, but companies are also taking on a lot of debt in order to make this happen. However, like you said, there is a huge market opportunity as well. But is this going to take a while to play out? I mean, we were just seeing, and of course, G20s next week, but we were seeing a lot of key players that are currently here having conversations about um, how to really cater to the Indian market. So they're all seeing the potential here. But is this something that's going to take a decade? Is it going to be faster?
it depends on individual governments. China, if they have to make an expressway, they make it in less than 3 months, right? India, we have a problem. Some farmer or some institution says you cannot go over my building,
Hmm.
even though government is willing to pay you. They, we get stuck. Okay, I give you another example. Many people, they can go to bidding. For example, countries like Uganda or Tanzania, they're building railway tracks. They invite government of India, they can invite government of China, Japan, United States, bid for it. Who would win the bid? Always China.
Of course. But lately, I've been hearing that people want to come to India instead of China, which I haven't fully understood.
I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about capturing the market overseas, building bridges, building stuff like that, making money for the country. China will always win those contracts. Second thing, if I or you as a citizen of India or any country for that matter, there is, let us say, an auction of one of the best hotels in New York City in Manhattan, and it is being sold at $1.3 billion. You're an expert running hotels of that order, but you don't have money. You go to Mr. Modi, sir, can you help me? Then the other opposition parties say, why in the world are you helping her? Why not others? What is your relation with her? This question will not be there in China. Mr. Xi Jinping says, Mr. Lee, go and buy it, I'll give you money. They will be able to not only pay 1.3 billion, they can even say 1.4 billion, I want it. So, all over the globe, if you see real estate acquisition, largest real estate acquisition, either through war or through monetary investment, is China.
Yes. But currently, I mean, while they're having their own spate of problems, um, no, I know you're giving me that very skeptic look there.
I'm trying to understand you.
There are a lot of well, the investor mood is shifting from China, and they're talking about India as an alternative. But for some of the reasons that you just spoke about, it's unlikely that we're going to be able to compete on that kind of level for a while yet. So, is China's power waning? I don't know. That's a
I don't think so.
yeah. I think that's still a while away. And is India going to make it in the next decade?
India will certainly make it. India will definitely make it, but we can make it faster.
If we get
If
some of these things.
if all the opposition thinks, all the parties come together and say we have to let India grow, don't fight and don't bicker.
Sure. So, since we are having this conversation, and I know you have people globally listening to you, um, there are people who still come to India and find it very difficult to do business here, who complain about the infrastructure, members of the diaspora itself. So this is always a constant debate, whenever you get into a room full of Indians who are living in various countries about whether or not India is going to succeed and how far behind it still is. I think it's very difficult for them to sometimes understand the dynamics at play, but having with the demographics, for example, and the large population. But on the other hand, coming back to what you said, it always comes back to policy and the people driving that change. Um, it's really again subjective, would you say, at this point? Because on one hand, people are saying that this is one of the best governments we've had. Other time, on the other hand, of course, there's a lot of the other alternative opinion as well, and we all know that. But if I look at numbers, every decade it does show that India increases its pace of growth. Whether or not Modi is going to leave a legacy that he took it to another level at a global stage, that is still to be seen, even though India has become a talking point today globally. Would you agree?
Yes, I agree that he has changed the perception of the country, and people also, there is a great level of freedom in doing a business in India. Um, though it's not completely, I think, I would not say it's a green signal at the moment.
Okay.
You see, even a small apartment builder, imagine how many apartments are being built at a time, every single day throughout the country. Can you count the number? Can you guess the number? Well, you do the calculations when you get a free time. Do a research on this. Okay. For each project, the real estate person bribes per kitchen at least 2 to 3 lakhs per apartment. Right? This is a story of 2008 or 2009. A person from whom I personally bought an apartment in Chennai. He had, I think, 16 apartments, and he had to pay 48 lakhs rupees to the local panchayat fellow, 3 lakhs per kitchen, right? I mean, and there are many buildings that were being built there. So on an average, imagine how much they make. If you say there are 50 lakhs in a year or 1 crore apartments in a year, imagine the amount of the secondary uh, income that goes around, floats around in our country. This is just one example of real estate. Imagine industries. I remember one fellow in 1979 or 1980, one Indian gentleman from America came to India and he started a business in North Gujarat, some chemical business. Government promised the continuous electricity, but the electrician would come and stop it now and then. So what happens? Once the tank is full, the reaction is going on. This fellow holds you hostage, no current. The entire chemical reaction will fail. And with that, so much of loss of money, lakhs of rupees. So whether to save lakhs or make them happy by giving thousands. So every month he would come collect money. He would happily give him.
So a lot of people are leaving the country because of difficulties in doing business. Meanwhile, we see people of Indian origin increasingly take on, you know, prime roles overseas in large corporates, businesses, so on. When we think about leading or when we think about education here in our country, there was even conversation recently when, you know, with the ISRO scientists talking about how education needs to go to the grassroots to enable more people to have had the opportunity to be part of something so major like that. When they did the research and drilled down into, you know, who was actually leading the exercise, and while there were some brilliant people, you know, there was just you know, a study or talk about how the access to that knowledge is still limited, and how there could have been opportunity created for many more to be part of this. What is the potential here in India? Because right now we just seem to be, you know, you're here, you're building, for example, like you said, you're going to be creating many more centers. You know, you meet so many people. So what is the pulse that you feel? I mean, are people, you know, here to stay, to build, to create? Or are we going to continue to see an exodus? I mean, the world is just looking very bleak right now. And I'm just wondering if we're going to be a happy spot in the middle of all of it.
India will lead the pack.
It will.
It will lead the
Okay,
pack.
I got that.
And India is a thriving nation, despite of so many ruins over millennia, one after the other, one after the other. We have been able to maintain, preserve, and keep growing, actually. There are some dark ages in the life of India, but we have always come out winning, remain the winners. And future, I think, is of India. But what supports India today is the spiritual foundation. Okay. Without this spiritual foundation, India will be lost. And thank God there are many individuals uh, who are deeply spiritual in the core of their hearts. What they need is just a little push, and that's what is happening to India. You see, if I have to give an example, there's a pond and there is a lot of algae on it. But below that, there's pure water. You just blow the air like that, and the algae will disappear.
Sure.
That's the situation of India. We have a lot of superficial algae, superficial problems, weaknesses. It can immediately go wither away. There's purity at a deeper level in all our people.
So I'm going to come back and probe to my earlier question, and the reason I'm doing that is because I know that sometimes when you were, you know, you've come such a long way, and there's so much, um, you know, so many different things that have happened along the way. It may seem boring for you to talk about it, but for the rest of us, we want to know more about you. So, you know, I really want to know more about, you know, you talked about when you were 19. Then after that, what happened the next year? And
Well, I lost my girlfriend.
oh, and that's where the spiritual path began.
No, because this temporary beginning of my spiritual life confused me. And somehow, what we call the interest in worldly life was temporarily suspended. And I could not say I love you.
Oh.
ऐसा बोलते हैं ना, हमसे कहा ना गया, उनसे बुलाया ना गया. So it remained a quiet moment, and that was the biggest thing that I lost. Right? But it made me stronger from inside. And then later on, I did my master's in the same field, pharmacy.
Okay.
Got married, and then went to US, started a business. Even while doing all these things, studying and doing marriage life and running a business, this practice was part of my life. See? And we would meditate every morning, and a special meditation process in the evening, just few minutes every day. It was enough to keep us going, and I could witness the changes in myself. It's quite palpable if You see, go through the diary, you can see the changes that yes. And anyone can say, it's not only for myself. Even a newcomer meditating for the first time will say, oh yes, I find this change. And if you regularly, systematically meditate, attend group meditations, at the same time attend what we call individuals meditation sessions with the trainers, I think this practice can totally transform your life. It can fundamentally change your destiny.
So did you start to meditate with like-minded people? I mean, at what point did it sort of change from it being an individual practice to becoming such a huge community?
It was not in the plan to become part of this global movement. I was happy doing my own practice, being a pharmacist and doing my business. I was very happy. And I still do miss my pharmacy days of business. Um, but there was so much of balance and interacting with worldly people. Now, all the worldly people come here, but they pretend to be spiritual, and that's very dangerous, isn't it? Because they come to the ashram with a face, with a mask. They wear a spiritual mask. So it's very difficult to deal with such people.
I was going to ask you, I was going to say, can you read people? Can you read their aura, tell what they're thinking, or
Otherwise, how would I have known masks they wear?
yeah, that's what exactly.
It's very easy. It's very easy, whether it's a genuine question or people they are here just to pass time, or they're trying to find a spouse here, or a girlfriend or a boyfriend. You can easily notice that. The way you should walk around in the evening after 7, 8 o'clock and see how people talk and walk. Even people of 60s or 30s and 40s, where is the need to walk alone with the phone? Whom are you talking to?
I'm always glued to my phone, so I don't know what to.
No, that is your business. I mean, you deal with the business. But youngsters, especially, whom are you talking to at this hour when there is time for meditation? Sometimes I walk around. You see, I let meditation happen. Somebody conducts it, and I go around and I see youngsters so absorbed in the phone. I say, why are you here in this ashram? What? There are times for meditation, and you want to just gossip away with a distant friend. My Guruji Maharaj, he used to say, when you come to your master, be with him totally. If you cannot be here with him with total attention, it would have been better that you stayed at home and would have thought of me. It would have been lot better. Now, what happens these days? Your attention is here, at the same time, you're pulled away by attention of someone else on you. They call you, you answer. So, even for a few seconds, you're interrupted from meditative state, you're diverted. Something that continues to keep building inside you as a spiritual empire. There will be empty holes here and there. It's not worth it. It's not worth your visit and wasting your time. So when you are in such environment, have full attention, complete attention. Just throw the phone in the pond or a river and come. Otherwise, you're really wasting your time. And once you get used to such state of mind that you can be with the master and do whatever you want, you get used to this careless attitude, then how will you ever grow?
I wanted to ask you, so I went to this Pandit and he told me, you did some like math and he said that, your this is good, bad, whatever. And my intuition number was like literally like zero. So, so, it's also like a personal question. And I read the book, I read your book, But I'm still curious. Is it possible to, how difficult is it to really build, your or cultivate intuition? How do you know when you're um, starting to get the hang of it? Or how do you differentiate between just kind of sensing someone's energy and mood versus genuinely cultivating intuition?
For that, you to understand what intuition is.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Intuition is something you bypass thought, meaning logic, and feelings also.
Okay.
It has a quantum leap into a different field and tells you the real truth about it. So, just as earlier I was explaining to you, when you asked a question on what is meditations, I said transcending the mind. And it's not enough that you transcend the mind, you transcend feelings, experiences, becoming, and go beyond all this, beyond bliss also. Likewise, there is transcendence not only at a mind level, but also at intellectual level.
Okay.
There are two different fields. In thinking is different from intellect. Intellect, when we meditate more and more, becomes intelligence. Okay. And you are moving into a different field now. You become wiser, you become more intuitive as you advance more and more. Where in intuition, these feelings and thinking are not required, it just happens to you. When you are talking of share market, where there is a lot of logic, lot of feelings, lot of analysis happening.
Yes.
But when your intuition says, come what may, this is going to succeed, you bet on that horse and you are there. So that is intuition. But will intuition support you for such sort of life? Have you seen brighter minds where they fold their eyes and see things with blind eyes? I mean, folded eyes.
Yes.
Children, let's say this is the paper, right? You can fold it like this. With the blindfold, they can read. They use the intuition there, right? So one day, I gave that child a lottery ticket where the numbers are hidden. If you pick the right numbers, you win. So when it is hidden and you keep on discarding, this is not right, this is not right, and you pick the right one, you win. Right? I have a pharmacy business in New York, and we sell a lot of lottery tickets also. It's part of the pharmacy thing. So I brought a whole stack of lottery tickets just to experiment with this child who could read. Right? And I was so sure that these children would be able to read the winning numbers. They could read everything else, but not that. Otherwise, I was thinking next step was to take them to casino. So I think at that moment, nature doesn't permit you. Yeah. But if there is a need, something happens, and you are able to do it. And I mean, it's personal experience. I think many a times I have played with this intuition, and I have been very successful with those investments also.
Okay.
It was the time when I needed the most. Like when you need it for your, and there is no other way, I think it plays out for you.
So I think in the investment world, it's just a fun question, but people would love to know, what you think about the Adani businesses, and do you think that he's just got caught in a bad storm, or is it genuinely a bad investment? So they have Adani Enterprises and then ports and Adani Green. And so technically, I mean, he's building India and its sort of.
I'll give you a small example. Earlier already, it's easy in China to sponsor someone individually. Hypothetically, if you think he's being helped by the government of India, why not? I'm for it.
Okay.
Did the government did a favor to him? Which I doubt very much. So in short, this is the answer for you. And if you see his life, I think, I don't know him that well, but you see him grow from nothing. You must give a credit to this man for changing. I mean, think of Gandhidham, where he developed his port, right? Gandhidham area, Kandla area. There was nothing there. Absolutely nothing except the salt mines, the salt pans over there. It was the poorest of the poor part of Gujarat. Now it's untouchable. Why? Because of Adanis. They contributed to the welfare of that area. Similarly, Ambanis in Jamnagar and many other places in India. Look, something or the other needs. Some have a rubble support, some have support of concrete, some have support of good refined diamonds. Support is always required, either legally or illegally. But support is never immoral. It depends how you use the money that makes it black or white.
Does one still need a moral compass in the world of spirituality?
It's a must. Without moral compass, even if you grow to become like Lord Krishna, you cannot stay there for a long time. What was the difference between Rama and Ravana? The Kundalini of Ravana was awakened, and so was that of Lord Rama. The actions changed everything. It's what you do with your energies.
I thought that was maybe just all made up by humans, you know. And maybe, there wasn't, because then again, you're getting into good, bad beliefs, um, structures. Moral compass was created by who?
Nobody, it's your own heart. Let's see, when a child is drinking milk and suddenly the bottle drops, what happens to the child? Begins to cry. Why? Something wrong has happened. How is it moral or immoral that things fallen? Something that went wrong. Child is able to perceive that this is not right. And morality is a question of right and wrong. Heart always speaks of what is not right.
And that is universal. That right and wrong is universal, not.
Right and wrong is universal, definitely. But whenever things are wrong or you're going to commit anything wrong, heart will always speak louder. You have a boyfriend? You're married?
Husband.
You have a husband. Okay. And suppose you start having ideas of having a boyfriend. What will your heart say? Shut up. Don't think of it. Right?
Right.
Or to take care of the husband in a nicer way. Heart will not object. But anything that can go wrong, you attempt to even think, heart will speak louder and push you. Don't do that. Don't even think of it. My master used to give a small example that if someone asks you your name, right, and say, oh, my name is so and so. My name is Ramesh. My name is Kamlesh. But if I say Ramesh, then one heartbeat will be missed. And next time you ask somebody asks you, what is your name? And you said, my name is Vijay. So each time you say Ramesh and Vijay and some other name, your heart will skip a bit and say, why are you doing this? But if I say my name is Kamlesh, which is true, heart will not miss even one bit, right? When you come home and mommy asks, why are you late? You usually come at 7, why are you coming at 11? Then you say, mommy, I was studying with my friend. And you say, aha, you see. And when you are lying, your heart knows that you are lying, see. But when you have to speak the truth, heart will not miss a bit. So it's very simple, I think, if you really want to know right and wrong, if you really want to follow that moral compass, it's very simple.
Rama's Kundalini was awakened. Why?
Need of the hour.
In a good way, in a positive way. The Kundalini is not necessarily a bad
He was well equipped with powers.
power.
No avatars come without powers. It's like sending a soldier in the battle without guns. God is useless then. So he has to send him with some things.
I know we practice yoga here, but do you also do Kundalini yoga here in the sense,
I just give you the example. Only mad people go after Kundalini.
okay, so I'm trying to understand you're not condoning Kundalini.
I'm not for it or not against it. As needed, nature will create it.
But it can be a potent energy, is what you're saying.
If someone can create it in you for a purpose, and not everyone, because there are many centers in the body which are a million times more potent than Kundalini. Kundalini is just like a little lamp in front of the sun. It's nothing, absolutely. There are many more powerful centers in the body. And if you don't know how to handle this, you'll be destroyed. That very power that was created accidentally by someone without any control can ruin you. You lose your mental balance, you go crazy also at times.
But India is full of yogis and gurus, and and the reason I ask is because people do get caught up. And I mean, I know that meditation is more about going within, but and I know we've talked about intuition, um, but people do get swayed. How can they tell the good from the bad? Or
Simple. If there is a monetary transaction, run away. Simplest thing to see. India has a tradition of Guru Dakshina. At the end of the course, you offer if you have something, otherwise, you can give fruits, one flower, and one leaf. Right? Today, let us say a guru says, I'll take you to Kailash on my helicopter. You have to give 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs. You have to sit in the front row, so much of money. One behind, little less. One who sits beside me, so much. If I come to your home, so much of charge. So yoga has become kind of udyoga. It has become business, unfortunately. See, quoting my master, when someone in Washington, D.C., after a meditation session, approaches my Guruji and passes on a bill, $50 bill. He was at that time 73 years old. And from India, those days you could not take more than $20 outside India. There was currency embargo. So, and he had not even seen $50 bills. What is this? So the secretary then said, Babuji, he's giving you $50. For what? So he asked the gentleman giving 50. He said, for liberation, you are giving me liberation. So Babuji, yeah. So he laughed. He laughed and said, God is not for sale. If he could be sold and he had the power to purchase. Why do you need God? And he says our ancient tradition is such that Brahma Vidya is never for sale. It is granted to deserving people free. You cannot put a price tag. Moment you put a price tag on something, you have decried its value. Can you put a price on your husband? Or I on my wife? You can't. You are objectifying the Lord, your beloved, see. And there is nothing better than beloved called God. And you can't put a price on that. See. Or any prakriya, some say this prakriya, this much, this prakriya, that much, it's all. So they should run away from such people. It's not that you should listen to me. Ask your heart, what I am doing is right or wrong? Or are you doing for greed? That if I do this much, I'll get that much. If I don't do this much, maybe I lose something. And that's how the temples are also thriving today. Does God need your money? And what will He do with it? Where is He going to shop? In some Delhi's elite malls there? Or in Dubai? God doesn't need money. People throw money in gunny bags. They throw gold. But they will not give some little money to their drivers.
Exactly.
Or to the maid who is working in the house. They will not send the driver to drop them if they are going late at night. So how are you ever going to please God when you cannot please your own, but you are trying to please the stranger, the trustees and the pujaris? The entire religion is thriving today only on two things. One is greed in this world, and greed that is to have or attain heaven after death, or to escape any punishment. That is out of fear. So two things only, fear and temptation. Well, spirituality is all about love. Religion is all about fear and temptation. Religion is the curse to the society. Anyone you ask, what if you don't worship, what happens to you? They'll give you the right answer if they're honest. Spirituality, you do it out of your own volition. I do it because I cannot help but meditate.
That was a lovely note to close on today. And I hope to ask you on many other facets and also continue to, get nuggets and experiences from your journey when we have another conversation soon. Thank you so much.
So it's very simple, I think. It's very simple.